Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here. Today we are continuing our ranking of Doctor Who, the seasons and series from classic and modern Doctor Who, from worst to best. And today we are cracking the top 20. And in 20th place is season 8 of the third Doctor, Jon Pertwee, the unit season as some people call it. This is a wonderful box set, I might add. I love that art. Lee Binding always does such a good job on these. Of course, I do import the UK sets, as they will play on my Xbox just fine, because they're not region locked. I like this season. This is definitely the unit season, where unit is very heavily involved. I mean, they are all throughout the Pertwee era, but especially this season. This is, of course, the season with the Master being in every story. That never really gets old for me like it does for some people, especially considering these weren't meant to be binge watched. You know, they were meant to be watched once a week. I enjoy it. It's a good group of stories for the most part. We'll do them in order. Terror of the Autons, amazing. Once again, Bob Holmes, the greatest writer Doctor Who has ever had. And of course, he brings back the Autons for a great story, and he introduces the Master, and my God, is Delgado just phenomenal in the role. His very first appearance, how he just takes control of the situation and hypnotizes the guy to be on his side. I love how he just turns around. That's the Master. That is exactly how the Master should act, not this weird stuff John Sims does where he's nuts. That's the Master for me. I absolutely love Delgado in this story. And the interactions between him and Pertwee are done really well in the story. I like the location filming, the studio filming. I do think the kind of plastic guys with the weird large heads look a little weird. I love the scene when the chair like smothers the guy. That's creepy. I enjoy it. And now the Master's just like, oh, nope, don't save him. I like when the Master tries to hypnotize Michael Wisher's dad and it doesn't work. And the Master's complimenting, you're a clever man, you know. Dangerously clever, strong-willed. That's what it is, dangerously strong-willed. It's like already, of course, the Master's planning to kill him. But he's actually complimenting him. Like there's the slightest amount of respect for, you were able to withhold my hypnotizing. All right, I'll give you that. I'm going to kill you, but I'll at least give you props for that. And then, of course, the little bit with the little demon doll running around, which that thing does look hideous. No kid would want to buy that. Well, most kids wouldn't want to buy that. I enjoy it. I like, the end of it's a little weird how the Master's, I'm going to help them and they'll help me take over. Do you really think they're going to let you do that? You're right, Doctor, let me help you stop them. The Master turns back to help the Doctor a little too. The convincing there's a little too easy for me, but it's a great story. I love Terror of the Autons. Next up is The Mind of Evil, which is my favorite story of the season. I need to rewatch it. I've only watched it the one time, but I loved it. I love that the Doctor is still suffering from the after effects of Inferno here. He's still dealing with an entire version of Earth that he was unable to save, where maybe if he had just worked a little harder and gotten there a little faster, he maybe could have. Billions of people died because he couldn't save them. And the fact that that haunts him and ties in with Mind of Evil, I like. The colorization is a little wonky. I mean, I'm grateful we have it in color at all. It's a miracle we have it in color at all, especially episode 1 with all the background stuff going on for that, since it is only a black and white print that exists of it. I'm grateful it's in color, but you can tell it looks the roughest colorization-wise on the set, which is frustrating for me as it's my favorite one on the set. But you can actually see in characters' faces sometimes where there's like the black and white is trying to break through the colorization of their faces. You can see it in little lines and edges around hairlines and stuff. And then there's the big shootout scene at the prison, which I enjoy that scene. It's choreographed very well. But if you look at the sky, it looks weird. Like there's little colored dots in it, pigments in it. Like when the Brigadier turns and shoots that one guy down, it looks weird. It's easy if you're watching the trailer for season 8 to tell which episodes are from, which shots are from Mind of Evil, just by the way the colorization looks. But the story's phenomenal. Again, we have the Master having time to plan, much like in Terror of the Autons, where he's planned everything out very methodically. And then the whole Keller machine, just in concept, is fascinating. How you actually die from your worst fears. You drown, you burn to death, you You got claw marks on your face, how that actually manifests. That's a terrifying concept, and I very much enjoyed that. Then you have Claws of Axos, which is my least favorite of the season, easily. I don't like Claws of Axos. It's my least favorite Pertwee story that I've seen completely. Because I haven't finished Time Monster, I've only seen part of it. But of all the ones I've completely watched, Claws of Axos is my least favorite. It is the one that pulls this season down on the list some. It is the story that pulls it down some. I just don't care for it. I like the Axon form when they're transformed in their kind of crinoid look. That's cool. But when they're in their gold statue look, I'm not buying it. I think the interior of their ship looks like crap. I do like the FBI guy who's kind of tracking the Master down. I like him. He's cool. The actor playing him does a good job. And I like the fact Delgado is having to work on the fly in this. He can't really methodically plan stuff out like he did in his first two stories. The Master's really having to work off the cuff here. And I like him and the Master having to work together, the Doctor and the Master having to work together in the TARDIS. I like that as well. Just the sums are better than the whole here. Just the whole thing, I don't know, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't really care for the Claws of Axos. Eventually I'm going to give it a rewatch, but it won't be for a long while. I just don't really care for it. And then we moved into Colony in Space, which is probably Pertwee's most underrated story. I like Colony in Space. I don't think it's top tier Doctor Who. It's not as good as Terror of the Autons. It's not as good as The Mind of Evil. But it's good, and it never drags for me. I hear people say that as a 6-parter, it should have been a 4-parter. Colony never really drags for me. I like it. One, it's a chance for Joe to go to another planet. It's nice to see Joe on another planet. I like the different enemies going on. You have the city and the people from the city, that's one threat. You have the miners, that's another threat. And then halfway through the story, the Master shows back up again, and there's another threat. So the Doctor has all these different things he's having to contend with. Checking out this city, rescuing Joe from the city at one point, having to help the colonists not get run off by the miners, especially since the guy running the mining corporation and his right-hand man are both, well, scumbags. Luckily, the one miner with the mustache is actually a pretty decent guy. And then you have the Master. And I like the fact he doesn't show up until like part 4. Because you just start to think, oh, okay, I got a story without the Master. He's not going to be in this one. And then, boom, he's back again, baby. I love that. And I like the conversation between the Master and the Doctor. The fact that the Master offers the Doctor to share the universe with him. And the Master does that speech about, I don't want to control it. I just want to see it. You don't have to control it. I just want to see the universe, explore it. I love that speech, but I love the message that speech sends. The Master, the guy who wants everything, offered the Doctor half a stake in the universe when he didn't have to. And for me, in my headcanon, that is him reaching out to his friend and offering friendship the only way that the Master really knows how to do that. There are several times, even in Delgado's run, where little things can be interpreted as stretching the hand of friendship out in the only way that the Master can. Same thing in the Sea Devils when he wants the Doctor to help work on the machine with him. He doesn't need the Doctor's help, I don't think, and it's dangerous to ask for the Doctor's help because the Doctor can sabotage it, which is exactly what the Doctor does. But I think the Master just wanted them to be on the same side, even if it's just for a little bit. And I feel the same way in Colony, that this is him reaching out to his old friend the only way he knows how, and trying to rekindle that friendship. Because we even see in The Mind of Evil that the Master's biggest fear is the Doctor laughing at him, ridiculing him, mocking him. So obviously his former friend's opinion of him means something deep down on some level, and that fascinates me. It utterly fascinates me, and that is another reason why I love Colony in Space. And then finally, the Daemons, which I know is the selling point for a lot of people, including John Pertwee. I don't get into the Daemons, or the Demons. I know some people call it the Demons. I think you can call it both. I call it the Daemons because John Pertwee in the episode says, they are the Daemons from Deimos. So, Daemons. I have talked about the Daemons at length on this channel. I think it's good. I don't think it's as good as people think. It's the most overrated Pertwee story in my opinion. It is good. Now again, I live in the States, so I'm not quite as connected with the Celtic lore and everything that this story kind of has, whereas a UK person might. So that might just be on me. I do love some of the things about the episode. I love that Benton gets a lot to do. Most of you guys know I am big on Team Benton. I love Benton. Yates gets a lot to do, and I'm not as big a fan of Yates, but I like that he gets a lot to do in this story. I'm surprised he doesn't strangle Joe a couple times, because Joe is infuriating in this story. They're going to sacrifice a bird! No! And I'm sitting there going, you stupid! But I love Benton getting a lot to do in this, and in civilian dress. I love the scene with when the doctor's tied up and they're about to burn him at the stake, and these the great Ki or something like that, or whatever they say. And, Benton's over there shooting the stuff out to make them think the doctor's doing it. I love that scene. I love that scene. I think my biggest problem is just the ending isn't that good. First off, the creature that manifests does not look intimidating at all. Even by classic Who standards, he looks like he's got a bit of a beer belly. The makeup doesn't work. And the fact it's Omega's voice, I know that's Stephen Thorne, is that his name? Stephen? I know he also played Omega. He also played Eldrad in Hand of Fear. But his voice is so recognizable as Omega to me that it always loses me a bit. It's a great voice, it's a booming voice, but I've seen Three Doctors so many times. I love Three Doctors, my favorite multi-doctor story, that all I hear is Omega. And then the whole thing about, I'll give my power to you. I'll give my power to you. Okay, so you don't want it, I'll give it to you, and then I'll kill you. And then he stopped because Joe gets in front of him, and the doctor can't, Stephen character, whatever he's called, Azeroth or whatever, he can't contemplate self-sacrifice. And so he completely self-destructs this powerful entity who's been around forever and is like a god, can't comprehend it, and self-destructs, and it's so stupid. We beat him with love, Alfie. We beat him with love. It was done then, and it was also done in the Daemons. The ending of the Daemons really hurts the Daemons, and I can't look past the fact that, again, anytime the Azeroth shows up, I take one look at him and I just go, bah! And then the ending is just silly. But I still like it. I love the location work. The location work is absolutely phenomenal. I wish the film elements survived. They'd really pop. It's a good story. I don't want to sound like I dislike the Daemons. I like the Daemons. It's just my least favorite of the ones I like, because I hate Claws of Axos. I would prefer Colony in Space over the Daemons any day. And that's the Daemons and Claws of Axos are kind of why it's lower on the list instead of being a little higher. Again, I do like this TARDIS team because I do love Jo Graham as a companion overall. And her and 3 have this very special relationship. Just as I know John and Katie got on really well in real life. And they really do seem like a family in this season. And John's one of my favorite doctors, so I really do enjoy this season overall. So season 8, what do you think of it? And the stories in it? Comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, click the like button and the subscribe button. That helps me out, and I very much appreciate it. And all the other things, Patreon link in the description, Amazon wishlist link in the description, P.O. box down there as well, if there's anything you want to send me. I want to give a shout out to Stephen Crane. I appreciate his continued support on Patreon and the support of all of my patrons as well. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.